Hello, everyone. Welcome to my mini lecture. Today, we are going to solder the human body infrared detection module according to the soldering work plan. The teaching objective is to assemble a complete human body infrared detection circuit according to the process requirements for the electronic products. The teaching key point is to complete the assembly of the circuit independently according to the circuit diagram. The teaching difficult point is the soldering of components. Please first check the tools and device materials to be prepared before class, then prepare the components according to the component list. After testing, all the above components can be used normally. Next, we will begin soldering. During the operation, we should observe the safe electricity regulations. Following the principle of starting with lower components first, we begin by soldering the surface mount component SI2306. Use tweezers to pick up the component and place it in the corresponding location. Then use a soldering iron to tin one pin of the surface mount component to secure it. Finally, use the soldering iron to tin the remaining 2 pins of the surface mount component. Solder the diode. Insert the diode into the correct position on the PCB for soldering, ensuring the correct polarity. The black edge on the component should align with the white edge of the component symbol on the PCB. Next, solder the resistor. Correctly insert the resistor into the PCB according to the resistance value before soldering. Solder the non-polarized capacitor. Insert the capacitor correctly according to its capacitance value before soldering. Solder the LM324 socket. Align the notch of the socket with that of the component symbol on the PCB at the U2 position, then solder it in place. Solder the NE555 socket. Align the notch of the socket with that of the component symbol on the PCB at the U2 position, then solder it in place. Solder the infrared sensor. Insert the infrared sensor into position Q2 on the PCB, paying attention to the placement of the 3 pins, and then proceed with soldering. Solder the manual button. Before soldering, first confirm the positions of the 4 pins of the button and then carry out the soldering process. Solder the LED. Be aware of the polarity. LED pins are long positive and short negative. Solder the connector. Pay attention to the polarity of the connector leads. Solder the trimmer potentiometer. Insert the trimmer potentiometer into the correct position on the PCB according to its size and orientation, and then solder it in place. Solder the electrolytic capacitor. When installing and soldering, be aware of the capacity size and polarity of the capacitor. Solder the terminal block. Insert the terminal block into the correct positions on the PCB, with the connection port facing the outer side of the PCB, then solder it in place. Finally, install screws at the four corners of the circuit board. Insert the integrated circuits LM358 and NE555 into their sockets by aligning the notch of the component with that of the socket. The circuit installation is now complete. After installation, check for any missed solder joints, cold solder joints, or incorrectly soldered components. Through this lesson, we have gained a certain understanding of the soldering methods for various components. 1. The sequence for soldering components on the circuit board is to start with the shorter components before the taller ones, and smaller components before larger ones, ensuring that the installation of previous components does not interfere with subsequent installations. 2. After inserting components, their markings should face in a direction that is easy to read, preferably in a left to right sequence. 3. Polarized components must be installed strictly according to the polarity requirements shown on the schematic diagram to avoid incorrect installation. 4. Through-hole components without heat dissipation requirements should be closely attached to the circuit board. Those with heat dissipation requirements should be suspended about 5 mm above the board. That's the end of this lesson. Thank you for watching.